So today behind me I have my 2005 Bobcat T250. It's been rode hard, put up wet. Had the end of the boom bushing wear out on it, and this is only the second one I've done. So I did a little experimenting around, kind of wanted to share some of those details with you. It's a pain to get off there, and it can be kind of a pain to get back on correctly. So I was going to try to give somebody a few tips on what I've found, and then you can figure out if you can do it easier for you. But I'll show you what the bushing does, what it looks like, how it works, and what happens when it goes wrong. And we'll get this lined up, and I'll show you a couple easy ways to tack this up, get it lined up right with the other side so your bucket's nice and square, and saves you a lot of heartache in operating and using this machine. So let me get that bushing out, and we'll take a look at that, and we'll go from there. So here's the bushing I cut off right here, and you can see this is the tapered pin that goes in it, and you can see how wallered out that is. Let me see if I can get a little better focus on it. But you can see how the bushing had wore out, and it just wallered that end out, and that's a direct fit. Here's what the new one should look like. So this right here goes into your boom frame, and then this comes through your attached frame and goes through here like this. There's a bushing here, there's a nut, and around in here there's a shoulder. I said nut, didn't I? I meant bolt. Anyway, there's a bolt that goes through here, and then a nut that goes on this end. When you put grease into it, there's a cap that goes over this end of this pin and the head of this nut, and that's where you put your grease in, and it just forces its way around here, and then you've got a seal on the attached frame here. So when this wears out, like that other one was, where it would move kind of like this, your bucket, when you pick it up, one side of your bucket drops or lifts, and it just makes it real hard to do fine work, and it's not good for the machine. And if you let it go too long, you're going to wear out a whole lot more stuff. You can buy these through the internet for the pair of them, a couple $100, and you know, the pin set again is probably pins and bushings for upper and lower on this attachment are you know, somewhere around, you know, $150, $175. So they're maybe not the greatest quality, but you know, these will last as long as I need them to, especially if you keep them greased. And what happens is the grease cert gets filled up, and then nobody cares or whatever. So then, you know, that's dependent on that bolt being tight and its fit being good. It's like anything, once it starts to suffer a little wear, or the bolt has become a little loose and somebody doesn't get it tightened up, that's going to let it slide out a little bit, and then it's going to start working and working and working, and eventually it's going to fail. If it was just a grease failure, it would have failed here on the pin and on the bushing that goes in the attachment arm. There was a little bit of that, but I think it was mainly from the wallering more than it was not being greased. I'm guessing that this bolt has been loose for a long time, and that's what's led to this egg-shaped disaster right here. Now you can see where I've butchered this all up getting it off. I wanted to try a couple different things. I've seen guys do this before where they use a torch and do it, and I thought, boy, I don't like that. So I took the plasma cutter and I tried that. I thought that would be better than a torch. Probably not, but about the same. And then what I found, as you can kind of see here, is I used a right angle grinder and I had maybe 2 or 3 new cutoff wheels, and I was able to get through all this, even kind of work it around the circle and get it dropped loose. The cutoff wheels worked real well. As you can see, in some areas this weld's real thick and hard to get through. So plasma cutter kind of diverts and splashes out different directions, and you know, I think the cutoff wheel is probably the easiest way. I've done this a couple times on different machines, and this is my choice for doing it. So just a right angle grinder and a cutoff wheel, and then what I'm gonna show you now is how I line them back up. I've got this sitting on a 5x5, and this just happens to come down just perfectly on this 5x5. And you can see over here, I've got a little bit of slop in this one because of the cutoff. You know, I by the time I cut this off and then I clean it, get it separated from that weld, you know, I wasn't perfect at it. So what I do is I put the 5x5 under it, and it just so happens that the 5x5 worked out. A lot of times you might have to shim this to make up for what tracks you have on the machine or how wore out they are or whatever. But the 5x5 just happens to work, so that's what I'm using. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this as my level from side to side off the concrete. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a level to square it up in the holder. And this is, to me, this is really important, because if that thing's cocked, it's just going to continue to drive your bushings into nothing. So getting it lined up and squared up are real important. Like I said, I've seen other guys do this on the internet. A lot of them do a good job at it. But if you're like me, those guys have got a lot more experience than I do, and I kind of looking for ways to do it with what I had here. I don't have an acetylene or torch around just because I don't want to hassle with it. I've been several years without one. Plasma cutter and cutoff wheels or bandsaws have done everything I needed to do. So not really much of a use for acetylene torch for me. But if you kind of get it set up this way, and like you see, this arm is all the way down on the rest on the machine. So in essence, this is where I want it. So all I have to do is square it up and tack it up, and then we're good to go. Now I'm gonna kind of square my distance up and out. I'm at 7 1/4 inches there. I'm at 7 1/4 inches there. And this thing's just a little, just a little out of square there. So we'll kind of finagle this around a little bit. We're right on the line. So we've got our height across the bottom. We've got this square against this bushing, and that's really about as close as we can do on any of this. Like I said, the closer the better. If you think you're going to get perfect, I don't even know what perfect would be without this being a brand new machine in a jig. during manufacturing, and they still probably have a tolerance of how close it's gonna be, so. You know, I would guess that most of this stuff fits within a 1/16 to an 1/8 brand new. That's about as good as it gets, so. But I don't know that for sure. So anyway, we've got this kind of squared up. Let's get our, get everything kind of squared up there on the end. There's not a lot of room between here and here, so you've got to have these right, just right at flush on there. So I'm gonna get the welder out. We're gonna tack these up a little bit. Just barely holding on there. Everything looks good and square. Like I said, we know our height is right off the 5x5s. At least I think it is. And you know what? If somebody wants to disagree with me, that's okay too. I don't really care. I'd say we're pretty good. We'll go around, we'll tack it in a few spots and let it sit. And then we'll start globbing some glue on it. So I've got the backside welded, but it really needs a second pass over it. I've got both ends and the front welded. Pretty happy with both those. So I'm gonna have Daff raise this up. While she's got it up, I'm gonna weld it up. Thank you, baby. Mm-hmm. Have a nice day.
Thanks for fixing mine.
You're welcome. Sitting 5 1/16. Yep, 5 1/16. So, right on the money, both ways. So I feel pretty good about that. We'll see how it fits up. I'll clean it up a little bit, squirt a little paint on it. And when the mount is dry, we'll be ready to put it on. So, a few hours for me, a couple minutes for you. Just a little cleaner. Get that cleaned up pretty good there. Feels pretty smooth. And then the other one is brand new, so we know that it fits good. So what we'll do is get the plate back over here, get it lined up, get these pins shoved through. I've got some bushings to put in the attachment plate, and that should get this process started. So let's get to it. I've got the bushings all chilled up. And those should push all the way down in there. Mounted in there good. There's a rubber seal that goes in here. And then once we get the bolt through, then this cap will go in. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's get the other side punched in there. Okay, so let's slide this dude over there. Fits down into that groove to hold it. And our threads are through, so we can put the nut on that here in a minute. And everything will be fine. Same thing over on this one. It's through. Put the washer on there. And the nut. Let's see. Washer and a nut. Tap them on in there. Till they bottom out. And then there's a snap ring that holds those in. Same thing on both sides. There we go. So now we're good to put snap rings in.
These snap ring pliers are reversible, which translates into sloppy. But sometimes you just gotta deal with what you got. Maybe. There we go. There's one. Let's get the other one. Yeah, and that one went all the way in, I think. Yep, that one went all the way in. So we'll put this last pin in, run the bolt through it, tighten it up. We'll throw a bunch of grease to it and go put the bucket on it. So here's the end view of the bushing mount with the bolt that comes through and the nut and washer on this side. And then on this side, here's where the grease zerd is, the snap ring.
So that's going to do it for this video. We've got it all back together. It's working good and real happy with it. We did have some other issues with this Bobcat, and we'll have that in another video on some overheating problems we had. So anyway, we'll run you through that in the next video. Thanks for watching.